Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast. Unfortunately, in this edition, we'll be talking about another defeat for Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League at our North London rivals, Arsenal at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal 2, Tottenham Hotspur 1. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, X, Facebook or Twitch right now, please do let us know how you are feeling about that game this evening at the Emirates Stadium, and let us know how you are feeling as a Tottenham Hotspur fan right now, because it is another defeat. Tottenham Hotspur have now dropped to 13th in the Premier League table. We have 24 points from 21 games. We're just 8 points away from the relegation zone. And if Manchester United beat Southampton tomorrow evening, Thursday evening, Spurs will actually drop down to 14th, same games played. Now, 3 other games took place this evening. Everton 0, Aston Villa 1, Leicester 0, Crystal Palace 2, and Newcastle United 3, Wolves 0. As I mentioned, Arsenal 2, Tottenham 1. Heung-min Son putting Spurs 1-0 up after 25 minutes. Dominic Solanke scoring an own goal in the 40th minute, and Trossard scoring Arsenal's winner in the 44th minute, Odegaard assisting. Now, the match facts and stats here. Arsenal with 53.2% of the ball to Tottenham's 46.8%. XG, Arsenal 1.42 to Tottenham's 0.83. Shots, Arsenal had 14 to Tottenham's 10. Shots on target, Arsenal 4, Spurs 2. Total touches inside the box, Arsenal 47 to Tottenham's 20. Goalkeeper saves, Raya 1, Kinski 3. Fouls, Arsenal 16, Spurs 9. And corners, Arsenal had 10 to Tottenham Hotspur's 4. Now, before I introduce the guest this evening that are going to help me get through this, we're going to hear from Spurs boss Ange Postecoglou on our 2-1 defeat.
Ange, ended 2-1. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, not great, especially the first half was nowhere near the levels we need to be and we want to be. We're just way too passive and with and without the ball, and we allowed sort of Arsenal to control the game, and we got ourselves ahead, but the way we went about it wasn't really the kind of sort of intent we want to have as a football team. Second half was a little bit better, but nowhere near good enough.
So the ironic thing is we actually got ourselves ahead in the game, didn't we? But look, we dealt so well with the set pieces, but then it ends up being a set piece.
Yeah. Well, that's if you're giving away so many, they're going to hurt you at some point. I don't think the one that they did score from was a corner, but the kind of things are going against us at the moment. But irrespective of that we've got to be better than what we were, especially in that first 45 minutes.
Well, I mean, what you're getting back from the lads at the moment? Because I can tell how disappointed you are.
Oh, look, we've got no choice but to get up tomorrow and tackle the task ahead of us. Our league form is unacceptable. Our results are unacceptable, and it needs to change.
There's a lot there from Ange Postecoglou. Back with us this evening is actor Ricky Norwood. Ricky, how are you?
I'm all right. I just started smiling because Craig disappeared, and Craig's been having technical difficulties all night. So as soon as it flashed back and it was just us three, that's what made me chuckle. Anyway, I needed a chuckle tonight. Mate, firstly, thanks for having me back on. Always an honor and a pleasure to be back on with you beautiful gentlemen and you beautiful people around the world. Crazy game today. A bit of a punch in the gut type of game. Yes, we will break it down. Yes, we will get in. Yes, there was positives, even though it was a negative result. Yes, we do need to do better, but you know what? Our manager is honest, and I feel that what he said right there was, to a T, on the nose, accurate. I think it was an honest assessment of the game, and we know we need to do better, but every single time for Tottenham right now this season, it seems to be 2 steps forward, 14 steps back because of injuries or suspensions or just there's a lot that's happened, but we are being forged in very hot fire right now, and I still believe in the manager, and I still believe that they're playing the right way, and I still believe that this will at some point gain us success and that we're going on the right direction. So yes, happy to be back on and can't wait to jump in.
We'll get into the football in a second. Also back with us is channel regular Craig Dearman. Craig, how are you?
Oh, yeah. Don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Disappointed, frustrated. I really thought we was going to get something tonight, but yeah. I don't really know what to say. Just I feel a bit numb. I don't even know how I feel about that game, to be honest with you. It was just weird, the whole build up to it and everything. So yeah. Look, we'll get into it, but yeah, not good.
I'll tell you how I'm feeling. I have just walked about a mile from the stadium to the car, and the songs that I've heard the Arsenal fans singing, I am absolutely sick of it. I'm sick of going to stadiums like Arsenal, Chelsea and Liverpool, and us getting very, very little from these stadiums. One positive tonight is that we have got Wes Reaves with us for the very first time. Of course, Wes has been a guest on a number of our fan shows on the channel. So Wes, it's great to have you on the Spurs Chat podcast for the very first time. How are you?
I'm in the mild because of the situation with the loss, but I'm happy that to be on, and I appreciate it really.
Wes, let's start the show with you because let's get your thoughts on today's defeat at the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal 2, Spurs 1. I feel like there is a lot to talk about. Ange Postecoglou has mentioned a lot there that we can discuss. But let's get your thoughts on the game.
I say I feel the same way Craig and Ricky feel. I feel like, especially Craig, I feel kind of weird about this one. This one was a weird one. Even the build up to it. I just don't know if the players really played for the derby, really. This is the North London derby. This is our arch rival, and it doesn't feel like a good half of those players didn't really play to the final whistle to me. We did a good job getting that first goal. However, well, we got it. Even though Arsenal was on us the whole first half, I think that especially with all the corners they were able to get and everything like that, they were the first to every ball, and it seems like we were second to it. And usually when that happens, we have a tendency to lose reach of the game, and that happened in this one. And I think some mistakes happened, especially in the back. Poor play from some players like Porro. And it's just, I would have wished and prayed that we had our starting center backs, Van de Ven and Romero, back, because I think they were needed for this type of game. You need strong defenders. You're going against a good offensive side like Arsenal. And right now we don't have that because of injuries, and you can't really blame injuries at the moment. It is what it is with the injuries. We kind of just got to play the game and play who we have. But some of the players didn't probably play hard enough. And of course they're going to probably say they're tired, and, you don't play several games that you probably wouldn't have to play if we had backup. But, we can't really have excuses. It's Northland Derby. This is a big, big game. And I don't think a lot of these players reached the levels that they needed to play in it.
Wes, I think that's a great point because I feel like Archie Gray, Lucas Bergvall, the two 18-year-olds, the inexperienced players, are giving absolutely everything. Is it fair to say that some of the senior players really need to step up, especially in games like this? Yeah,
absolutely. Like, there's no reason why 18 and 19-year-olds have more conviction of what they're doing than some of the senior players who are now 27, 28, reaching what we call the prime age of, in sports at least, the prime age, being around that time period. And you having kids who are like 10 years younger than you playing with more conviction than you. That's just like, this for me is like, I would not mind if he leaves in the summer. I don't think he ended up being what we wanted for what we saw from when he was playing for Brighton. And that's sad to say. But he hasn't reached the level he made a couple mistakes in this game. That was sometimes costly, and sometimes look like he just disappeared on the pitch sometimes. And he's not aggressive at all when it comes to defensive and making sure to rattle some of the offensive players on the opposition side. It's no reason why you got two 18-year-olds who are showing way more pride and more warrant than some of the senior players.
Craig, let's come to you. Let's get your thoughts on today's game. And let me give you a stat here. Tottenham have lost 11 games in the Premier League this season. The joint most at this stage of a single campaign in the competition, also 11 in the 1997-98 season, and that was a bad season. We've spoken about this recently. 2003-04 and 2008-09.
The stats are pretty damning, aren't they? They really are. As I've said before, I lived through the 90s, and the 90s were pretty horrific. It is weird. I think if Jose or Conte was manager at the moment, then they either wouldn't, or Nuno, they either wouldn't be here with these results, or the fans would really be calling for their head and the board wouldn't have a choice. It is weird that Ange still has so many people behind him, and I would say a majority of the players, if not all of the players, are still behind him. It's just a funny old season. I do liken it to actually when we've won cups in recent history. The 91 season was pretty bad, but we won the FA Cup. 99 season was pretty bad, yet we won what was the Worthington Cup, I think. And 2008 season was pretty crap, and we won a cup. So league form was bad in all those seasons, yet we won a trophy. I think it almost puts more pressure on us in certainly in the semi-final, and should we be lucky enough to get to the final, the Carabao, and even the FA and the Europa, because we're not doing anything in the league. We're not even qualifying for Europe at this rate in the league. So I think the only route to Europe next year is through a cup.
We're miles away.
We are absolutely miles away. West Ham are above us, and everybody's saying they're having a rubbish season. You know, that's the nuts and bolts of it. West Ham are above Tottenham. I don't know what else I can say on that. And like you said earlier, is it United go above us, or somebody goes above us tomorrow if they win? I think it's United.
Yeah.
We are just so miles away. And is this another one of those seasons where, almost like the Champions League run, where it's papering over a lot of cracks? Cup runs have papered over cracks. I mean, we know we've had horrendous injuries this year, so have a lot of other teams. I'm personally, I know people are calling for the manager's head. I'm still not there yet. I'm not there at all yet, to be honest with you. I think we need to carry on and back him, and I'm surprised we haven't got any more players in this window already yet. I think that would have been prudent to do that, considering where we are. But
Craig, can I ask, because you and Ricky have both touched on this already in the opening 12-13 minutes of the podcast, saying that you are behind Ange Postecoglou. Do you think he is under pressure at the moment from the fans and the board, because losing this amount of games, being only 8 points away from the relegation zone? Of course, we face a very tough game. What's an easy game in the Premier League now? But, this coming weekend away at Everton, David Moyes' Everton, of course, they lost 1-0 at home to Aston Villa today. But I feel like that is going to be a very difficult game to go to Goodison Park at the weekend to get a result. And let's face it, and Ange Postecoglou has already said there, we need results, and quick.
We do. I just think that, personally, I don't see what Ange could have done much else today as regards picking the team and the way he approached the game from the kickoff. He tweaked the midfield a little bit to make us a little bit more defensive, and only changed it in the second half when clearly we needed to get up the pitch. But obviously that exposed us with just having Bergvall in there. He's going to want the results on the board. Of course he is. He's apparently not under pressure from the board, the Tottenham board. Certain elements of the fan base will want him gone. I'm not sure what you do if you let him go. Where do you go? If you got any ideas, then please put them in the comments, because I can't see what that achieves. He will be feeling the pressure, though, in answer to your question, because the results speak for themselves in the league.
Ricky, let's come to you. You spoke about positives there in your opening piece. And obviously, let's get your thoughts on the game. But as I said to Wes, I feel like the two 18-year-olds are giving absolutely everything right now, and they are the standout players. And I feel like some of these other players, certainly the senior players, need to give that little bit more, or actually a lot more. Is that a fair comment?
Of course, it's a fair comment. Of course, it's a fair comment. We've seen in some of our seniors that we do need more from them, and we need them to stand up and to be counted. You know, you see, most fans would have looked at tonight's game and probably said that them lot down the road were going to win, right? You know, our circumstances have not changed that much. We've brought in a new keeper who I felt, even though there was some moments, I felt was strong. I felt that he was strong and aggressive at crosses and catches, and he put his body on the line. And, you know, I felt there was some positives to come from there. So that's a little bit of a change, and a change that we've needed. But not much has changed in our situation, you know. And we are seeing, like you say about the 18-year-olds, we are seeing these guys that are being forged in fire. This is what I mean by that. You know, they're going through this toughest time. We know we need help out there. We've said this at the beginning of January, and like Craig alluded to there, I would have felt, and I think that every Tottenham fan out there would have felt, that we could have got a bit more help into this squad a little bit quicker because of the games coming up, and none of these games are easy. You know, but when we look at the fundamentals, you know, Gooners are tipped to win the league at the beginning of the season. You know, their squad is, how many years has Arteta been there? He's been there, like, what,
6?
5, 6?
Yeah,
right.
6.
So there's been 6 generations of this squad to get it to the shape where he wants it. Now, even the Gooners are complaining about not having a striker and not playing certain style of football. They've got their complaints as well, even though they are challenging for the league right now. When you look at their game plan today, it everything fell into place for them. Their passing was sharper. They were a lot better than us. They dominated us in that 45 minutes. We were hardly in that game in the first half. They passed it around us. Every time we got the ball, we couldn't find a forward pass. You know, we passed it back way too much in certain instances tonight. There was a lot going on, and the Gooners, you know, they do like a set piece, as we've seen this season, and that's what they played for. They played for every set piece and every corner going. And some of these guys, being young, it is going to go out for a throw in. It is going to go out for a corner and stuff like that. But you look at Archie Gray and the way that he's been used right back, left back, but has kind of done excellently well as an 18-year-old playing at centre back against the side that are going for the title. And that, even though they do have injuries, yes, they do, it's nowhere near the level of ours, you know. And it's not a competition, but it's just a true fact, you know. So Archie Gray, I felt, again, gave an outstanding performance. I felt Bergvall in the second half, when he went into the 6th role, I thought was everywhere. And I felt that his energy, you can really see him growing week in, week out. I felt Spence, again. I love Jed Spence, you know. I think there's so much more to come from him as well. But the game time and the fact that, you know, you can give it to him. And there were a couple of passes here and there that went awry, or times when they doubled up or tripled up on him. But he always looks to make something happen. He's always looking to, you know, change a pace or try a trick or try something, you know. So there are positives there. But at the end of the day, it's them lot down the road. It always hurts, and I can't stand it. It hurts me to my core. Like, they are cringe.com, aren't they? They are cringe FC, the Gooners. You know, and it hurts me to my core to say that they were better than us today, and they were a better side than us today, and they are far further along their journey in the players that they can pick up and that they've built in this squad. But I give so much credit to those players that went out there and continued to fight. And continue to fight with grit. Even though we were dominated, we were doing all right. We held them off for a good 20 minutes when we didn't even touch the ball. You know, we continued to give them free kicks and corners and played into their hands a bit. But the boys didn't drop their heads. They came out and they continued to fight. And if we had just a few more bits of real quality and that's whether they come back off of the injured list or we get them in during January. We are not that far away. I hate looking at us in that league position. I can't stand it. But we're not that far. We just need our team back. And you will see the results. The results will come back. You can see with little bits of quality that come from Bergvall, that come from Gray. You know, look at Richarlison tonight. I was impressed with the East cameo tonight. He came on and tried to make something happen and put himself about it. And little bits of quality show you what can happen in this side. And the more we can get back and the more we can add to this, I think I'm sure that we will start to achieve and we'll start to climb the table. But plus, go for these cup competitions, because, like Craig said, that's going to be our avenue now, and that's what we've needed. We've needed pressure in the cups. I don't think we've had pressure in the cups. I think it's been pressure in the league. Get top four, get top four, get top four. But this season, us being on this type of roller coaster means that there is pressure on the cups, on all of them, you know, to achieve something this season. So maybe everything for a reason right now, but I would just say, even though, and it punches me, and it's only because I've had an hour to calm down that I'm being able to talk calmly, but we are on the right road. I hate losing to them lot. They are cringe FC. I couldn't stand them jeering to the crowd. I understand it, but I couldn't stand it. I couldn't, you know, it just reminded me of them taking selfies in the goal and stuff like that. But, you know, let's see what they win at the end of the day.
Ricky, as you well know, you know, on this channel, off this channel, over the phone, blah, 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 you and I talk about Spurs a lot. And both of us agree that we want it to work, you know, for Ange Postecoglou at Tottenham. But it is fair to say that these results cannot continue.
No, you're absolutely right. And look at the boss. The boss knows that, and he was very honest about that. But the job that I think Ange Postecoglou has taken on is harder than most previous managers, and I'll tell you why. Or my theory why. Ange has had to strip this squad to bare wood, to nothing, and start again. Conte had a mishmash of squad. Jose had a mishmash of squad. Poch, we know, didn't really get backed, but you know, by the end of that journey, there was players that he wanted out, and there was players that wanted to stay, and some wanted to leave that were told that they wasn't allowed to leave. So it was a mismatch and a bit of a ugly cacophony of energy towards Poch's time. But ever since then, we've tried different things of trying to shake up this squad. We know that there's some players that stayed for too long and that we couldn't get rid of, or we've had to let go on free transfers. You know, look how many free transfers we let go. I remember Doherty, Serge Aurier, Dele. I'm sure Dele as well. Like, but there was a ton. You know, so throughout those periods, we still had Harry Kane and Sonny, and whoever else we could put around them. We always had these two at the top of their game that could carry us sometimes, or that could give us that finishing product. Ange has had to take all of that and strip it down to nothing. There's no Jan, there's no Toby. Do you know what I mean? There's no Walker, there's no Rose. You know, like Højbjerg's gone. You know, like Eric Dyer's gone, Sanchez is gone, Emerson Royal has gone. There's so many players that have gone, and we've tried this turnover, and we're building from the ground upwards, and this is the difficult task. Now, if he had those 11 players, you know, that are on that injured list to choose from, we would have a much healthier squad right now. We would have much healthier results because he would have been able to rotate and play different flavors of midfield and stuff like that. He's building from nothing right now. We've got a Sonny out there that is like our captain, our one and only, scored a fantastic goal today, but at times has been run into the ground. Solanke's been fantastic up there and has done great in his first half of the season, and that's I think it's gonna continue, and I think that's gonna get greater. But you got to look at the problems that we've had, and they're not excuses. But if we had what we've got, Do you know what I mean? Fit and healthy, able to come off the bench or to shift sides and to give different flavors, then I believe that we would have healthier results. He's starting from scratch, and I think that that's a harder job to do.
Whereas there's a lot of very disappointed Spurs fans in the comments at the moment, and it's fair to say a few of them disagree with what Ricky is saying. Ricky has said there that we're not that far away. A lot of fans are calling for change at board level. A lot of fans are calling for change with the manager. A lot of fans are frustrated with certain players. What is a quick fix, or is there no quick fix at the football club? Because what needs to change? What is a realistic change to happen in the near future for Spurs to start climbing up that Premier League table? Because as Ricky said, rightly said, none of us want to be seeing Spurs 13th in the Premier League table in January. We should be pushing for European football, a club of our size and with our history. We should be playing in Europe every single season. With the stadium that we've got and with the players that we've got, because we do have a decent squad. What needs to change for you?
I know it can't be a quick fix, not the way that Levy has, ran the club so far. So it's just, we're not the type just to go ahead and throw in 200 mil and, really bolster the squad in that time period. We kind of do it in a more slower, calculated strategy type of way than a lot of other clubs that are usually in the same place, that are fighting for the same positions we fight for. I think I agree with Ricky. I do. I know a lot of fans, because of this of the magnitude of that game being the North London derby, a lot of them are going to be pretty much just upset, and they're going to be calling for everybody's head because we just lost to our rivals. And so a lot of people in the comment section, they're going to be upset. They're not going to really agree with Ricky, but I agree with a lot of Ricky saying this manager is going through a complete rebuild, which has not been really given to the previous managers behind us, nor do I think that was really the plan for any of those managers either. They're trying to do something different, and we were going to suffer. There was going to be, especially, I didn't think we were going to be suffering this bad, but that's only because of the injuries that's caused this kind of suffering while we're sitting so low that we are. But we did, of course, at the beginning of the season, lose to some teams. We had a more strengthened squad that we should have never lost to. And some of that was just because a lot of players, I guess, was getting more used to the system that Ange is trying to play, and a lot of just individual mistakes was the cause of that. So that kind of hurt us as well. But at the end of the day, this is going to be a lot of growing pains to try to get this club to where it needs to be. And Ange said that on multiple occasions throughout past summer to beginning the season, throughout the season. He said this even when the injury started pouring on. He said, be honest, like what if we were to fire him today and put in another manager, who is going to make that team that we have currently beat Arsenal, who are going for the league title, beat Liverpool, and beat these teams that are top Nottingham Forest, who are third right now. Like that, not with most of our squad is most of the bench players, except for the attacking front three, and then maybe one or two of the midfielders. So, but when you lose that kind of defensive prowess like we have, with losing both our top center backs with Van de Ven and Romero, that's a big deal. That will hurt any club. That will make their form of run and play throughout the season very poor, because you don't lost a lot of strengthening when it comes to defense. I'm sure if we had Van de Ven or even one of them back, and then had had Dragusin paired with them, we would probably put up more of a better fight, because we have more belief in our back line. Right now we got a new goalkeeper, and I think he did well. He did all he could do in that situation, and I think he's trying to bring something different, which is what we needed in that goalkeeper position, which is his passing. To me, his passing is still great. You can tell the way his technique is whenever he does cut the ball across the field, that it's very good, very top quality. And I think when we finally get our squad back, it's going to help our offensive side a whole lot better, especially when we go on transitions, like when we get on defend corners and we recover the ball very quickly. He's going to be able to loft the ball forward and we start going on the break. I can really see that. I can see that transitioning once we get our full team and once we're really back at trying to do some stuff. But right now we're going through the mud right now, and that's not really the manager's fault. You can try to get them on the tactics. To me, I don't think the tactics were too far off. I think it was about what we did. We were able to nick a goal in the first half. It's just that they were all over us, which is expected. We have 18-year-olds and stuff like that. We're not, we don't have our full team. So that kind of stuff is what's going to happen. Now, would you want to see a couple of those players that we do have who are been playing show a little bit more conviction, like Johnson, like this? Yeah, those are the players we should really be looking at and seeing, okay, what are y'all not, contributing that we did? The whole reason we signed a lot of them, but I think it's just a multitude of things. And I think fans, we're going to have to be just very patient with this deal. We already know where our league position. We're not going to get that very high. So people were still thinking we were going to get top 4 or some crazy like that. You're out of your mind at this point. I never thought even going into the season, we were really etching for that. I still felt like we were like a 5th or 6th place type of side. I didn't think we were going to be doing too much league wise. I did think that we were going to do well in cups. And I think we are doing well in cups, given how the regular season has went. And as Craig has said in history, we've won cups while we've had these pretty, in our standard, bad seasons. And, I think the way to build the team to success, we got to start winning cups first. And then after we win a couple cups consistently, we go and try to go for the league. And I think, because of course, Ange in the back of his head, that's what he wants to go for. He's more of a league winning type of manager. That's his mindset. He said that on multiple occasions as well. And I think that's what his plan is maybe a lot more slower than what he probably thought, especially with the injury blow that he got at the beginning of the season. But I'm still with him. I know that's crazy to say. A lot of people, I'm sure all the fans from other clubs are probably thinking that's crazy, but I'm sure Arsenal fans were going through the mud too when they were calling for Arteta ahead just a couple years ago. And now they're challenging for the league for the last 2 years. So you got to wait and you got to pretty much trust that, that the board is going to trust the manager to do this the correct way and that he's the guy to do this. And we got to hope that the board also gives Ange what he needs this coming summer by the end of this transfer window, et cetera, et cetera. Like this, it's just a lot of different avenues about why we're in the position we're in.
There was a comment a second ago from R. Ferguson saying that, Chris, you need to be more patient with managers. You wanted Jose Mourinho, you need to be patient with him. Antonio Conte the same, and now Ange Postecoglou. I don't know what you've heard or you think you've heard, but I did not want Jose Mourinho sacked 6 days before a cup final. I didn't want Mauricio Pochettino sacked after, just a couple of months after taking us to a Champions League final. I didn't even want Antonio Conte sacked, even after that rant at Southampton, because a lot of what he said was actually true. Whether he should have said it publicly or not, with the football club, don't know. That's to be debated. The only manager ever in history of me supporting Spurs that I said needs to go was Nuno Espirito Santo, because the whole fan base, I felt at the time, agreed, because they sang inside the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, "You don't know what you're doing," against Manchester United. So, comments like that, I don't know why people just feel like they can say anything that isn't actually true, but it's not. I've never, ever wanted those managers to go. And I've said already on this podcast that I want it to work under Ange Postecoglou. I really, really do. Wes, let me come back to you on that point, because you mentioned the word patience. Do you think the Spurs fan base is patient enough? Because I think all of us have said on this podcast many, many times, certainly me, certainly Craig and Ricky and all of the regulars, that when Ange Postecoglou was appointed the summer before last, a lot of people said, right, he needs the time. And most importantly, he needs the patience. And so many people have also come on this podcast and said, do you know what? Don't worry about top 4. Let's have a season where we finish mid-table and win a trophy. I'd be happy with that. It may happen.
Exactly. That's that. I remember those days when everybody was like, "Okay, we need to probably be patient with him. He's going to try to rebuild a squad, etc., etc." We're going to have probably a season where we're not going to be fighting for top 5 spot or top 4. But as long as we, try to go for a cup, they're going to be happy with that, and then we can actually finally see us win December. I remember all that, and I think we should still look like that, and I think it is still like that for a lot of the fan base. If you look at a lot of people, I looked at some other podcasts. A lot of people calling us crazy for singing Ange's name after we, I think we got a draw. We won just a couple of weeks ago at our home ground. A lot of people call us Chris, like, oh, he's not even doing anything, Chris. I'm like, well, because we're backing him. That's why. Like, we're backing our manager. We understand what we have to go through. You guys are not fans of the club, so you're not understanding what the situation and what we're trying to do. So of course you're going to think we're crazy supporting the guy, and you look at our league place. But if you just look at our league place and not know what's happened to even why we even fell that low, of course you're not going to understand why we're still singing his name. It's because we know he has a plan. We know he has a way the way he wants this club to be ran and how he wants his football to be played. And to me, I think he's the right guy. He has the conviction. He has the knowledge. He talks very well. Even in these situations, you see he's still talking very well as a manager. He's not boiling over like how Conte did in that last game. He's not. And I don't blame Conte, because to me, I think more of the board just didn't have his back in that moment. I think he started to notice that there was some real bad juju going on at Tottenham at the time where Conte was there. And I think it just reached a boiling point. By that point, they lost that game. And he did that last press conference. It just boiled over. He was just sick of it. I think it's a little different with Ange. I think he does have a little bit of the trust of the board. I do, or they would have not have kept him this long. They would have fired him by now. Let's be real. Any other manager, any other club would have got fired with the points that we have in the league table. Especially where Levy just, he really wants us to be at European spots because of the financial money it brings. So I do feel like a lot of at least from what I've seen at the stadium, a lot of them still are backing Ange. Even when we lose these games at home, if you notice this, you have to tell me, Chris, you're at the games mostly. I've never been to a game yet. I hope to be, but I haven't heard like complete like boos and they're like, calling for like how we did for Nuno Espirito Santo. There was like the overall fan base knew that he needed to go. I had not got that from Ange, at least not overwhelming wise. No. It's been a lot more calmer. It's disappointing. A lot of people, of course, are upset and like, but it's like it's like the fan base kind of has like a mild disposition towards it. Like we're understanding, but we're frustrated that we're losing, but we're trying to bite our tongue and we're trying to know that this manager is going to get us to where he is. We understand it because we keep up with the Spurs every day. And we understand the injury situation that he's going through. I think the fan base is a little bit more mild, of course, but when it comes to people commenting online, people just say whatever. And, a lot of their emotions just go out, with faceless names. So.
Do you know what, Wes? I get every fan's frustration, and there are a lot of different opinions. And most people that come on this channel, vent their, anger and opinions. We have a lot of people on with very, very different views on the football club. Some people see it that Spurs charge the most money for season tickets and tickets in general at the football club, so there is a certain expectation of what the club should deliver on the pitch. We haven't won a trophy in 17 years. That is a big grudge that people hold. Transfer windows, people expect a lot better in these transfer windows, particularly moving to the new stadium. I think that there was that promise that the money was going to be invested onto the pitch and we would see a vast difference. Have we really seen that difference? Probably not yet. Could it happen in the future? Perhaps. We don't know. And then I also get the fact that there are a lot of people very level-headed about it. Same attitude as Ange Postecoglou, I suppose, saying, well, we've had all of these injuries. When our full squad is available, fit, ready, and raring to go, then we can... like Ricky said, we're not that far away. On paper, when you look at the squad, you're thinking, actually, this is really good. And when going through a tough period like this, when you see the likes of, Bergvall and Gray, the way they're performing, if all of the senior players are performing at the level that we know that they can do on their day, then I agree with Ricky. It's exciting, and I don't feel like we are far away. But like I said, I think there is a level of expectation, and whatever happens, when you're losing 11 games and you're in January, no matter who the manager is, no matter who the players are, I feel like there's a lot of Spurs fans thinking, wow, we've lost 11 matches. That is not good enough. Craig, what's your opinion on this?
I've read a lot of the comments that people are putting and saying me and Ricky are basically happy clappers is what people are saying, and how many defeats is too many, and how can we almost dare back the manager? You hit the nail on the head when you said about injuries. Yes, every team has injuries, but I've said on here for months that when Van der Ven, especially Van der Ven, is out, this system falls apart because there's not adequate backups. It's all based around his pace at the back. And even Romero to a degree because of his defensive capabilities. To have one of them out's unlucky. To have both of them out for 2 long periods of consecutive seasons is almost unheard of. You've got a centre midfield, 18-year-old centre midfielder playing centre back. You've got a right back playing left back. You've got a right back that's having to play because we haven't got anybody else that is knackered in Porro. We've had injuries all over the park. Odegaard, although people say, yeah, I get it, he's a young lad, but he would have been something different to bring on. Richarlison's been out for weeks. Decky's been overplayed. Solanke's been overplayed. Maddison hasn't performed. You know, the list is endless. And some of this is on the players. Some of this is down to bad luck with injuries. I mean, Vicario, we haven't had Vicario for months. There's so much that's gone wrong. You couldn't write it. If you was writing a movie script and getting Ricky Norwood to play the star in this, I'd choose you, Rick, personally. You know, people would not believe it. They would not believe it. But this is Tottenham Hotspur. This is Tottenham Hotspur. It's what Gary said as well. It's a mentality thing. I totally agree. At the Emirates, at Chelsea, at Liverpool, it's a mentality thing. How many years have we not got results there? And that's what's got to change. That's what's got to change along with the squad. This squad clearly isn't good enough. There's players underperforming as well, the ones we would need to perform, but clearly investment needs to be made. Still, big investment in this squad. Because as you say, Chris, our first 11 on paper, and we know how good we can be, because nobody was bloody moaning last year when we won 10 games on the spin. Remember when we had a fully fit first team squad, then it fell apart at that Chelsea game because we lost key players and we haven't got sufficient backups to come in. You cannot expect the brilliant, let me say, Archie Gray to do everything. I think he's been fantastic. I think Jed Spencer's done a great job at left back. I think he's so much better at right back. People think right and left back, oh, he can play. No, it don't work like that. Your body shape's all different. You tackle with your different foot. Anybody who knows anything about football knows that, right? I thought Jed was good tonight. I think he was one of our better players on the night. Archie Gray was good tonight. Bergvall was good. Comes back. What does that come back to? The youngsters carrying people. Bissouma losing the ball in key positions. Madsen coming on and not making an impact. Kulusevski not having his best game, giving away stupid free kicks on the edge of the area again. Solanke running his arse off, but again, still looking knackered. Richarlison just coming back from injury. I don't think Richarlison's the answer, but he gives us something a little bit different. He came on and probably did more than Son, even though Sonny scored a great goal. So there's all these elements to it. And I just think people, I know it's, people are not going to want to hear this. You've got to be patient. And this season in the league, we ain't doing nothing in the league this year. Craig, we've got to trust this.
Let me ask you this question because you've probably seen it. It's probably been in there 100 times already during this this evening. Certainly when Ricky was talking. How patient?
How patient?
Yeah.
We've got to, well, firstly, we've got to give Ange till the end of the season. We've got to give Ange till the end of the season and then reassess. None of us can predict what's going to happen. We're not going to get relegated. Let me just put that out there. I've seen those comments. Ridiculous. We're not getting relegated. But we've got to give Ange till the end of the season and see where we are then. We have to. We have to. What are you going to have? You're not Ryan Mason for the rest of the year? And then we spend 79 days getting another manager in? It's the same thing over and over again. The board have to step up and spend money. Daniel Levy has to put money, take money out of his pocket and pump it into this squad. Of please, somebody come in and give us a huge investment, something, anything. It's clear. All the fans can see it. The amount of investment needed in this squad still is huge.
Can I just butt in there, Craig? Gary Jarvis writes here, can't stand listening to this crap. Now, Gary, we have lots of different opinions on this channel. Now, we do a fan show every week. if you'd like to come on and give us your opinions, do send me an email. It's tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com. You're more than welcome to come on. Come and talk to me about all of your frustrations and how you're feeling right now as a Tottenham Hotspur fan. That is exactly what this channel is about, getting everyone's opinions, not just Craig's, Ricky's, Wes, or mine. We want yours as well. Craig, let's stay with you because I want to go through a couple of stats here. Arsenal have won 3 consecutive league games against Tottenham for the first time ever in the Premier League. What a frustrating stat this is. This one I read out earlier about us losing 11, and that is the most joint at this stage of a single campaign. And Postecoglou, and whether he can take positives from the performances of the 2 Spurs 18-year-olds, Bergvall and Gray. He said, I hope not. I want them disappointed. This can't be accepted by anyone at the club. Us losing so many games in a league season is not right. And Ange Postecoglou on the goal that shouldn't have been, which we'll talk about in a second. I don't want to talk about referees. I've got to take responsibility for my team. We weren't anywhere near the level we needed to be in such a big game. Craig, let's talk about the starting 11 today, because Ange made changes, obviously. Kinski, Poro, Dragushin, Gray, Spence, Sarr, Basuma, Bergvall, Kulusevski, Solanke and Heung-min Son. Now, I want to take you back to an hour and 15 before kickoff when you saw that team lineup come out. I know when I spoke to you in the week and even earlier today, you said, Chris, I fancy us tonight. We need to go to the Emirates, get a win. How are you feeling when that team lineup come out?
It was interesting that like I said, he tweaked that midfield a bit. I thought if he'd gone for Kulusevski in there, and then perhaps played Johnson on the right, that's what I thought he was going to do. But he's obviously trying to make changes, go a bit more pragmatic, a bit more defensive in the middle of the park, and almost have 2 sitting in front of the back 4, essentially. I know we don't play like that, but that's essentially what it was. A bit more defensive. I was quite happy with the lineup, to be honest. I think Kulusevski has obviously proved in midfield he's a very good playmaker, but needs must today. Obviously there's certain positions in that team where it picks itself. The goalkeeper and back 4, for example, it's the midfield and forward line. He's got a little bit of manoeuvrability, but not much. So I wasn't overly displeased with the lineup, to be honest, Chris. Who are you going to bring in? Johnson, possibly. Maddison, possibly, but he hasn't been pulling up any trees. So I was quite happy with the lineup as it was.
Do you know what, Craig? I wanted to ask you about Lucas Bergvall because, he has been one of the shining lights recently. And I know we've already mentioned Archie Gray, and we've mentioned him on a lot of podcasts this season on how well he has been performing. How must James Maddison feel when a North London derby, one of the biggest games of the season, especially away at the Emirates, Lucas Bergvall is now head of James Maddison? How must he feel?
Gutted, but he's not been performing to the level we know he can. We all thought he was coming back to his best at City and hoped he was push on from there, but he's not been doing the stuff that we all want him to do, and clearly Ange thinks he's going to get more from Bergvall. So, and when Maddison come on today, did he really take the game by the scruff of the neck, which is what we know he's capable of? But have we seen him do it enough? No, that's why he's not getting in the team. That's why any player doesn't get in the team, because they're not doing what the manager wants them to do. It's not just Tottenham. This happens in teams all around the world. If you're not doing the job and somebody's doing it better, you're going to lose your place in the team. So, I would hope it gives him a kick up the bum to do more and train harder and prove that he should be in this team, but he's too inconsistent. And that's exactly the comment there. Somebody said he's too inconsistent. But I want to see Maddison get back to his best. I want to see, of course we all do. We want to see him run in that midfield, but it's just not quite happening for him at the moment. So he's going to be playing Bergvall in there.
Ricky, let's come to you on the starting 11. And I should have added that subs this evening were Austin, Reguilon, Hardy, Elise, Maddison, Moore, Johnson, Lancashire and Richarlison. When you saw both teams' lineups come out, Ricky, how were you feeling? Of course, Arsenal lined up as follows: Raya, Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, Lewis Skelly, Odegaard, Partey, Rice, Sterling, Havertz and Trossard. How are you feeling when you saw both lineups?
Well, I mean, you know, firstly, I kind of saw this lineup that Ange put out and kind of said, okay, cool. He's looking to be a little bit more solid in midfield, and he's going to try and kind of hit them on the break because he knows what type of game they have. But, you know, we in that first half, we really couldn't get the ball up to our forward line at all. We hardly saw that forward line. When I saw the Gooners lineup, what I mostly saw their first team players. I saw an experienced bunch. I thought the young boy at left back for them played really well. They've got, you know, a solid midfield there with Partey and Rice and Odegaard there. That's been the engine room for a while. Then they've got some pace and trickery on the wings. And Kai Havertz up front. I don't really like Kai Havertz as, you know, as a number 9, but, you know, he's there. So, you know, I was worried about their pace on the wings. But when we look at that first half, I mean, we was just like, we were totally dominated in that first half. We couldn't string 2 passes together. We couldn't get a forward pass going at all. And that is not good enough. You know, I'm glad that the boss came out and said what he said. I'm glad that he's been as honest as he's been. And I'm glad that he ain't shying away, or he ain't the one putting up excuses either. You know, he wants more from Archie Gray and Bergvall. You don't want him to be okay with defeat. So, and the reason also, like with Ange and the whole thing and being a happy clapper, I've always said I'm happy to be, you know, if you want to call me a happy clapper, cool. But Ange, for me, for the first time in a long time, has a direction. He has somewhere where he wants to go. And he knows how this ship needs to sail to get there. We got to ride the rough seas. We got to pass some Arctic lands, and we got to go around. We got to follow the stars to get to this, to the promised land. And for the first time in a long time, we've had a direction. You know, ever since Poch left, we've been wishy-washy with systems, with approaches, with recruitment, you know, and we haven't. The only direction that we had was downwards. And that is why it took 79 days for us to recruit another manager after Stellini and Mason. Like, you know, it's been a crazy place. But this guy's come in and he's looked at this ship and he's seen the holes in the ship. But he's looked at it and gone, you know what? With a bit of work, it could be a flyer. And as we're sailing right now, half of the crew ain't there to be able to pull in the direction that we need to go, that we want to go in. And so he's asking more from the young ones. You know, he's asking them to pull a bit harder, even though half of the squad ain't there helping them. And some of them are getting stronger with it. You know, some of them are really getting stronger with it. We as Tottenham have to change something. We have to back something. And this is what I'm saying. He's starting a fully, like Wes was saying there, a full rebuild. He's starting from scratch. He's starting from the ground up. He has gutted all of the grass on the field and he started again. He planted new grass seed and flowers and crops and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, he is started from the ground up. You know, first season he brought in some experience in Madison and what we needed here and there. Your doggy came in, you know, Van der Ven came in, Vicario came in. We started to build this. We tried to just change the squad. This year has been mostly about the summertime. Has been mostly about the young ones that have come through, you know, and buying another experienced guy in Solanke who has done fantastic up front. We need quality right now. You know, you can put it on, you know, I would have liked Moani to come, but it was going to be unlikely for the league position that we're in and what we're doing right now. And the fact that we're a bit of a roller coaster for someone who's on so much money and, you know, has got an elevated status about himself and believes he should be playing at a certain level, which is absolutely fine and fair. He wanted to go to Juventus. So we need to, again, to trust our scouts and to put our hands in our pockets and to go get those guys that are not only super quality and that can help this first 11, but have the right temperament, have the right character, have the right will to fight and to go out there and to put these demons to bed, put these doubters to bed, put the jokes to bed, because we're all tired with it. And I'm tired with it. Don't think I'm not tired with it. You know, it's hard to come on and speak about Tottenham after so many losses and for them to be in the bottom half and for me to still find positives. But when I see those boys on the field running and fighting and playing for the manager, all I can do is be the supporter that I am. And when I say supporter, that means I go with these boys through wins, through losses, and through the draws. Do you know what I mean? Through the great times and through the terrible times. But I see these boys wanting to stand with this manager and stand with this way and believing that the ship that they're on is going to the promised land. And when I see them believe it, who am I to say, no, I'm not going to believe it? Of course, I'm going to stand with them. I'm going to fight with them. I'm going to face the tide of craziness that Tottenham faced, including a virus that no other team has got. Only Tottenham. Only Tottenham got this virus, you know, and I'm going to stand with them. And I'm going to stand with the manager. And I'm going to go through this tough time and put it on the board. Like Craig said, I can't agree more with what Craig said, you know, and what Wes was saying there. It's all there. We can see the fundamentals, but we haven't been given the rewards for some of our hard work and some of our play. We got a touch of that from the first leg at Liverpool, you know, for all of the hard work. Remember how we played in that game? And that wasn't just a one-trick pony way of playing when we played Liverpool. You know, today wasn't a one-trick pony. We done something in that midfield to hold the game, to try something new, and to be a little bit conservative. Didn't work. Second half, we changed it to a 4-1-4-1. That's adaptation. That's trying something new. We put Bergvall in the 6, an attacking, ball-playing 6, and he done fantastic. You can see it's there, but we need the help and we need the quality around it. And like Craig was saying there earlier, we need the board to do more. We want better from them. Do you know what I mean? That's all I've ever wanted from them. I want better. The only one time I've ever said like Levy out was when they sacked Pochettino, and I was heavily emotional. Do you know what I mean? It's the only time I've said it. You know, I understand it, and I do put the pressure on them, and they have made many mistakes over the years. But at this time right now, the fact that they're sticking with the manager and the fact that they're sticking with the change of direction and they believe that this ship is going to get where it's going, now we need to buy some really strong sails, and we need to buy some burly guys to help row this boat, and we need to buy maybe an engine. Do you know what I mean? We need to upgrade this ship. We need to invest that a little bit more so that we can get somewhere this season and continue to build. It's tough. It's tough in the position that we are, with the ridicule that we get from the press as well. You know, I thought Matty Hayes was great today when he put out a video calling out Sky Sports for the way that they worded the article, calling the Gooners depleted. But anyway, that's a different subject. So I'm going to go on a different rant. But I trust this process and I trust the direction. I'm with Craig when he says like it's time to invest and it's time to get us excited. Do you know what I mean? Put your hand in your pocket. You might have to spend an extra 10 mil right now to go and get that player. But go and do it for the squad, for the fans, and for the belief that we are going in the right direction. We need it, and we need it soon.
As everyone knows, Ricky is the official Spurs Chat podcast motivational speaker. I'd love to see him go into the Tottenham Hotspur changing room one day and talk to the players like he does to the viewers and listeners on this podcast. Ricky, I'll tell you what, and I said the same to Craig as well. Don't ever be disheartened by some of the views and opinions from some of our viewers, because, of course, you know, we listen to it all, we digest it all. We invite guests on here to talk about their thoughts and feelings about the football club, and no one is ever wrong. It's just how we all feel. I know we're all frustrated when we lose games.
It's exactly that, bro. Like I've always said on this show, you know, I'm never going to call another fan wrong with their opinion, especially if you love this club and you invest your time, your money, your energy. Every time that you read something about Tottenham. You know, every time you watch something on YouTube, it's Chris giving you a 60-second update every, half an hour. You know, if you are invested and you love this club from around the world and it's your everything, the same way it is for me and you gentlemen on the show tonight, then I'm never going to call your opinion wrong. All I'm going to do is share the way that I see things. And hopefully there's some balance there. Hopefully there's something there that you can take away and kind of go, all right, it's not that bad. You know what I mean? Maybe there is a bit of sense there, or maybe he's onto something. But I'm just here to give balance and to share with you guys the way I see it. But I'm never going to call you wrong. If you believe that, and I've said about the protesters as well, those protesters that go and they stand outside the club and they kind of they shout, and they're doing it for all of us. And I can't say that those guys are wrong whatsoever. They're frustrated. They see it in a certain way, and they're right in what they see and what they say, because they feel it from deep within, and they're doing it for the betterment of Tottenham Hotspur. But right now, I believe that we need to follow this direction. And I really believe that he's the guy that's going to get this squad and get this team, and who wants to drive the ship. He wants to drive it. There's not many managers out there that want to drive it. They want us as a stepping stone, like some of the players that we haven't recruited. Maybe Colo looked at us like a stepping stone. Maybe he just wanted that Champions League. Maybe he wanted the earth, in bonuses or something. We're going along the right direction. Look at Kinski. Nobody knew who he was. He came out of nowhere, and you can see straight away within 5 minutes that this boy's got something. There is massive quality in there, where after 3 games, we have, as fans, we're questioning whether when Vicario's back, who's going to be playing. That's massive for that recruitment, and that's massive for the scouts and for the way that they are approaching bringing in the right profile of player. But we need it to happen now, and we need we need to go up a level in quality to help this squad right now.
Yeah, well said. And it's massive as well, because Stu Miller is sending you appreciation posts, Ricky. So you're obviously saying something right that people agree with. Wes, let's come to you on a number of the comments, because we're absolutely delighted on the Spurs Chat podcast that so many people do get involved in the comments. So thank you so much, and please do keep the comments coming. There's a comment here: sacking the manager will not get us anywhere. Just react to some of these messages quickly, Wes, because we're an hour in. It's past midnight here in the UK, and we're not on minute 1 yet.
Yeah, I saw the sacking the manager would not get us anywhere. Yeah, it wouldn't. Again, if we fired him mid-season like we did so many before, the same results is going to happen. We have to start all over again. Some of these players are not going to be too much liking by the manager, like how Spence was. He was in the shadow realm when we were with the last manager. Nobody, they sent him out on loan. He was doing decent, just a whole bunch of things. But it's, as we all knew as fans, there was a player in there. We finally got the manager, and he was kind of forced to play him. I still think he was one of the Andrew's kind of hesitant to put him out there too. But I think even he's learned that I made a mistake, and he should have been playing. And sometimes that we found some positives out of some of the injuries, because some of that has forced his hand to play players that were almost out of the squad. And now his whole trajectory is completely different now. We're pretty much, I'm sure, we're planning on keeping him and having him be a part of this this new reign. And then just to add on to what Ricky said, Ange actually wanted to be here. There was a time period when we're going through this merry-go-round of managers. We had guys like Conte who pretty much thought he was over the club, like he was doing us a favor of being the manager here at Tottenham. And to me, that always, when he said that in one of those press conferences, it always sat with me a little bit. I know he never said it out it, but he always presented it.
Do you know what, Wes? I always think that's a bit unfair on Conte, and I always
he did do it.
Do you know what? He wanted the best. He wanted the best at Tottenham Hotspur, and he wanted to demand the best. you know, for us Spurs fans to have trophies. And people like Jose Mourinho, people like Antonio Conte, wherever they have gone, they have given their best and they have delivered the best and they have delivered silverware. And that is exactly why I got so excited about when those managers come in, because I thought, finally, we have got a manager that are going to get us over that line, because by hook or by crook, they get it done. They just get the job done and they always deliver. How can how can us Spurs fans think, how it went terribly wrong with like Jose Mourinho? Every single club where he's ever gone, he has won a trophy, except Spurs. It's madness. Some more comments here. Kava over in Fiji. Kava, thank you so much for your comment, and thank you for watching over in Fiji. We gave the Gooners far too much respect, and we weren't brave enough on the ball. Do you know what? I hate comments like this because I actually feel like it's right. How can you give a team so much respect? It's a North London derby. This is when the players are meant to be up for the fight. In games like this, if you can't be up for a game like this and show that fight, show that passion, and give respect to the opposition, what chance do you have?
Yeah, I was going to say that, and I noticed that really when it came to Sarr, we haven't talked much about how Sarr played, but Sarr to me was a little bit. One thing I have seen from Sarr, he doesn't really use the abilities that he's got naturally. He's very tall, long-legged type of player. Which a lot of teams don't know how to defend, and he doesn't really use it to his advantage a lot. He kind of just stays within the norm, and you kind of saw a hint of him doing something different when he went for that long run down the field in one play, and I think in the first half. And he just does. And there's times where he kind of waltzes with the ball, and because of how long his legs is and everything, and just how naturally that is with him, and how he feels with how he feels the game, and he doesn't use his advantage. I think half that sometimes just the mental state of, okay, there's left on the derby. I don't want to be out of position, so I don't want to do nothing too bold out of position wise to make something happen on the offensive side. Then some of it is just maybe him being a young player. And and stuff like that. But I think when it comes to Basuma, he got no excuses. He should already know. He should already know what his ability is and what he can and cannot do, and while also knowing where he should tactically be. Being a 27, 28-year-old player, Sarr got a little bit he can get away with. But I just feel like some of the midfielders, which is really hurting us. I think a lot of our midfield play is hurting us, including Madison especially. Is just. They don't use all their abilities to advantage to help us win games and dominate the midfield, which in turn hurts our offensive side a lot because we need like quick passes from the midfield to get to our wingers or get to the striker. We need them to hold up the ball. We need them to make sure they're in the right spaces to get when we're on pressing, when we're trying and get interceptions. Because if we get interceptions on the halfway line, that's an opportunity for us to go at them, and we don't do it if the midfielders are not on top of their game. And a lot of times when we see us have these struggles to really go up the field, is because our midfield play sometimes are not at it, and it hurts us at the end. I'm sure we're going to get on how the wingers play, but yeah, that's what I saw as well. That sometimes the way that some of these teams, when they're set up against us, a lot of players, they feel like they can't do certain things because of the magnitude of the game.
Whereas we'll try and get through every single player's performance, but when Craig starts going through his drawers at his office there, that's the sign to say, that's it, we're going to bed. Yeah. So when Craig starts doing that, I'll carry on talking until that happens. Craig, let's come to you on Stu's point here. Right off the league and focus on building a squad fit for purpose for the next 2 to 3 years. Big positive. This will be in the making of our young players. I suppose is what Ricky said a lot, really, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. It's I think I said as well, the league's almost gone, isn't it? I mean, don't even pin you. Not winning, by the way, before anybody calls me out. I'm just even talking about anywhere near Champions League. I mean, if we go on a run.
With league position, though, Craig, we know, from sacking previous managers at Tottenham, we know that league position is everything to the club because, like I said at the very start, it's about European football, and Spurs should always be in those European spots.
That's apparently what we're told and what we know. Yeah. But at some point, you've got to trust the process. It all comes down to it. Do you want to rebuild? Do you want to trust the process? We're still, I don't know. How long's a rebuild take? How long's a piece of string? But it takes certainly longer than 18 months. And you've seen it with other clubs. Arteta, yeah, people are going to throw FA Cups at me, but their league position wasn't very good. When Klopp took over, their league position, they wasn't challenging, not quite as low as we are now, but they were going through it. You can even go back as far as Alex Ferguson. Football did exist before the Premier League. When he first came in, he was on the verge of the sack. This rebuild, as Ricky said, he's starting from a lower position than Mourinho did, a lower position than Conte did, a lower position than Pochettino did. This squad needed to be completely ripped up. You remember how many players went out in that first transfer window, Andy's first one. He loses Harry Kane the day before the season starts. He's had so much to deal with. And people say it's not good enough. Of course it isn't. The league position isn't good enough. But at what point do you I just think people are very, very quick to want change and not give something a go. And I get he's been in post 18, 19 months, and people would say that's long enough. Let me tell you, it's not long enough. It's nowhere near long enough to give somebody a chance.
Craig, Andrew said himself, this is the style of football that Spurs fans want to see. And when we talk about league position, now, if you go back to the football under Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte, the football was very different. What football do you prefer to see? And when you go back to Jose Mourinho and particularly Antonio Conte got us top 4. And I remember I actually called him the magician, because getting top 4 with that squad that he had, and how many times and how many transfer windows have all of us said we need to do more. We should have done more for those managers as well, especially Antonio Conte, in my opinion, for us to really push on and show ambition. And I use that word a lot, show ambition and direction for the football club, moving on and trying to challenge for the Premier League at that time. So what means more to you, league position or the style of football and the identity? Because even Daniel Levy said that about when Ange Postecoglou come in. It's about getting our identity back. And in his words, we've got our Tottenham back.
With style and identity, regardless of the league position, results will come. If you trust the process and you get the right players in, it will do. If you're asking me, did I enjoy the football under Conte and Mourinho? Not at all, in any way, shape or form. And the difference with Conte, he had a Son at the peak of his powers and Harry Kane at the peak of his powers. Without them two, we would probably be in the position we are now or even lower. Just don't even think for 1 second that having Harry Kane and Son at the peak of their powers, it was just a small thing. That's lazy. You only realise now how bloody good they were with that squad and where they got us to. So for me, it's an easy one to answer, actually. I love the football that we play most of the time under Ange. Sometimes it goes peak tongue, but I like watching my club play football a lot. I like the football we play and the identity it's given us back. I would not want to go back to a Conte or Mourinho style football. I just wouldn't.
This comment here from Martin. This is a question that I actually wanted to ask the three of you. If you could all give me a very quick answer. How far up the table can we realistically hope for this season? Because we're miles away from the top 4. We're 8 points away from the relegation zone. And I know, Craig, you've mentioned it already. A number of people have said, could we be relegated this season? It seems ridiculous. But, when you look at the numbers, you don't know what's going to happen. Ricky, what is the best we can hope for in league position this season, realistically?
I think right now, with everything, I'm going to say 7th, 8th, if we're lucky.
Wes?
I think I'm thinking 7 through 9. 7 through 9. 9 is the worst, but I do think like around 7, 8. And if we just going crazy, we can get 6. But I don't see top 4, top 5 at the moment. But I think we can hit the edge of that still.
What about you, Craig?
Have you got the current league table there you can put up, Chris, or just tell me how far we are off certain positions?
Yeah, I can put the league table up for you. This is where we are at the moment, 13th, 24 points from 21 matches, 8 points away from the relegation zone. And actually, no, I chose not to put I chose not to put the top half of the table up on today's stream. I thought, should I say that Arsenal are now up to second? I thought, no, I won't even go there on this stream. So apologies. I don't have the top of the table.
Yeah, I'm looking now. We're sitting at 24 points. West Ham is at 26. Brighton is on 28 at 11th. They're tied with Brentford, who is 10th with 28 as well. Fulham is 9th with 30, and Bournemouth has 34 at 8th, and Aston Villa is at 35 with 7th, and Man City is tied with them at 6th with 35.
The thing is, Craig, when you look tonight, like I said earlier, Aston Villa winning, Newcastle winning, these teams keep winning games. We keep losing games. We are really, really falling behind a lot of these clubs.
We are, and that's so. Where's if I remember that rightly, we're roughly 4 wins off 6th. Is that right? Roughly?
Yeah, about like 4 or 5 wins. I didn't think Man City and Aston Villa was had a bit of a stretch. So right now, it's looking more realistically we can get to 8th at most. I'm not too sure about how Man City, Aston Villa, but because they're holding up the 6th and 7th spot very well.
I think it would be a miracle if we got to the Europa Conference League position in the league. The only way I think we're getting Europe is winning a. Well, obviously the Carabao don't give you Europe anyway. Winning an FA Cup or the Europa.
Yeah.
So in answer to your question, probably 8th.
Yeah.
And I think for balance, I've got to ask this question to all of you. Right now, the way that we are playing, do you see us winning a trophy this season?
Can I go first?
Yeah, go.
Yes. I think the way our play style is, it kind of is like a cup type of thing. And somehow we've been doing very well somehow in cups instead of the league somehow, which, and we're doing it in all 3 at the moment. I know Tamworth was a eyesore, especially the first 90, but we were able to get through, and that's all that matters. But I know when it comes to the League Cup, and we had some hurdles in Europa League, but we're still sitting pretty okay in that league as well. I do still think we can get one of those cups. I would love to get a Europa. We haven't won a Europa League since 1982 or 81?
84.
Yeah, so there was early 80 teams, and I would love to have I think we already have 2 or 3 of them. I'd love to get another to add. And that would be a very big deal. That would because that easily put us in boom. We'd be in Champions League in that place, and through that. So that would really be a big deal. I would love to try to win that, and I think we can do it. Especially you see what teams are in levels that's in that league. No offense to them, but it's teams that we should be strong enough to compete with at least and go for it.
What worries me is that Liverpool game. In the Carabao Cup. And I know we're going a little bit off topic here, but it's going to these grounds, like I said at the very start, going to Arsenal, going to Chelsea, going to Liverpool, grounds where we very, very rarely get a result. Craig, just a very quick yes or no. Do you think the Spurs will win a trophy? Because Ange has come out and said a number of times, hasn't he, always winning my second season. Is that going to happen?
You know what? Sorry, it's Tottenham. I'll say yes because the way the season's gone. People sound mad. They say, "Oh, we ain't going to win shit." Yeah, well, this is Tottenham. We've all seen us snatch defeat from the jaws of victory and snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. There's no rhyme or reason in this club. I know that's not a quick yes or no, but there is never a quick yes or no. Especially when Ricky's on the panel, so it's entirely possible.
Well, we do need quicker answers because I think this is a record. Hour and 20 in the podcast, and we're not even on the first minute of the game.
I'm falling asleep as well. I'm so tired. Honestly, I'm so tired.
Ricky, Jerome writes here, same question I've asked. Can we win a cup? Yes, but where is the help that Ange has been asking for the last 6 interviews? All we have is a goalkeeper. Club should show more ambition. That's exactly the word that I used, and I used that a lot when Antonio Conte was our manager. Show some ambition. You know, you get these. How many times have we said about the great players that we've had at the football club, the great managers, the win-now managers that we've had at the football club? It is about showing ambition. Are the club, in your opinion, going to show the ambition that we all want, and the players are going to come in the door that Ange Postecoglou needs? It's not necessarily a want. He needs them. He said a number of times, in the last couple of weeks, we need help. How confident are you that Spurs are going to get the right business done in this transfer window before the winter window ends on the 3rd of Feb, 11 p.m?
Well, history dictates probably not, but they kind of have to. They really have to. You know, I love that they've shown the faith in the managers to kind of go, no, you know, he ain't quote unquote under pressure, even though every game is under pressure. But they really need to right now, bro. They really need to. And do I think that we can go for a cup? Yes, absolutely. Do I think that we can win one? Yes, absolutely. Because right now, with the way that we play and the fight that we have, right, and when we get our players back, and if we can get the required upgrade, yeah, and we're only looking at 1 or 2, but if we can get the required upgrade in this transfer window, we know it's tough, we know it's difficult, but if we can do it, if you can put down the money and make it happen, then we can actually go for something special and go for all of the cups and see what happens. Do you know what I mean? I'm with Wes about the Europa League there. I would love to lift that trophy, and then that kind of, you know what I mean? That kind of
it softens the blow with the league.
It solves so many problems. Solves the league position. It solves Europe. It solves the players around that are currently in the squad right now that want Champions League, that believe they should be playing Champions League. Finally, they've got Champions League, and those players to attract as well. That level of player that we want to attract, that having Champions League helps, you know. So yeah, let's go out there and win it. Let's go out there and put our eggs in the basket. Let's put the pressure on the cups. That doesn't mean that we keep our eye off of the league. We 100% need the results to change real quickly, but we really need that help right now. And what's the date? What is it? 15th of Jan, and we brought in a keeper. We need a lot more and quickly.
Do you know what, Rick? As well, just coming on to that about players being brought in. Wouldn't it? I'll be all for somebody coming in and playing a load of money into the club. And I know with PSR and FFP rules, you can't just go and buy whoever and pay them whatever. But we are in such a strong financial position. We know we are. And that's the frustrating thing as well, because we know how much we've got to spend. We're nowhere near. I know nobody got punished this time for the last 3 years, but we are nowhere near that. We are millions and millions and millions of pounds the right side of the line.
Yeah, I think I heard like 250 mil. That doesn't mean that we can go out there and spend 250 mil, but we're 250 mil right side of the line. So why can't we? Ain't we like the 8th richest club in the world or something crazy like that?
Exactly. And what frustrates me even more is you hear about Chelsea finding little loopholes. All right, you can always say these things aren't morally right, but if it's within the rules, if it's legal, then you do it. And it surprises me because Daniel Levy is such a canny operator. Surely there's loopholes. You know, X company lends Y company the money, so you can offset that against hotels or whatever it is. I'm not a business person, so I haven't got a clue what I'm talking about. But surely there's a way.
Yeah, but Craig, you know, once we pull that move, the rules will change, and we'll be the ones dock the points, and we'll be the ones to make an example of, bro. You know it. You know it. It would be just our luck.
Right, almost an hour and a half in. We've got to start talking about the game.
Do we need to? They beat us. That's it. Show the goals. I think we've got a really good discussion going here about the club. I think it's probably more important. The result is meaningless. Let's face it. We know they beat us. Fuck them.
Is that your polite way of going through your drawers?
I am tired, but I don't want to go through the game. I'm sat at the sit through it.
I've never heard one of the guests say, "I'm too tired to talk about the game." This is the first time that Wes has joined us on the Spurs Chat podcast, and Craig's given up.
Yeah, it's 5 hours. It's 5 hours earlier for Wes in Atlanta, and the weather's better.
It's cold, but yeah.
It's freezing here, mate.
Yeah.
This is Craig Dearman that we are used to. This is why all the viewers say you need to smile more, Craig. This is exactly why they say that.
No, it's Spurs. That's the reason I need to smile more. It's supporting Tottenham is what it is.
Right. We'll crack on. So, Ricky, let's start with you. In the 3rd minute, Sterling was in. Kinski came out, putting him off. After 7 minutes, Sterling tried to cross. Gray blocked. Now, I've written down here, in the first 10 minutes, Arsenal had 5 corners and 1 free kick, 6 set pieces. Now, this is a football club known as Set Piece FC, and we have given them 5 corners and a free kick in the opening 10 minutes. How were you feeling at that point? Because I tell you what, I was raging at that point.
Yeah, I was raging too, my friend. I'm like, do we need to give them any more help? Do we need to do anything else for him? Shall we just score for him? And we ended up scoring for him as well in the end. You know, like, I mean, look, they put us under immense pressure. They played a really high line. Their press was on point. Every one of their passes was sharp. They got to the desired destination. You know, their moves were slick. They overran us many a time. They kept the ball. We were chasing shadows for a long time in that first half. And, you know, like the corners and the free kicks, they just kept piling up. And I was sitting here watching it. I was sitting here watching it going, you know what? It's going to happen at some point, innit? Because we was just handing them the game at that point. So I was just praying that somebody would just be able to hold onto the ball for longer than 5 seconds, make a couple of passes forward. But, you know, it took a long time for that to happen.
Do you know what, Rick, though, right? Because people criticise us playing out the back, and I get frustrated with it sometimes. But we did, although we'll come on to it, Kinski, obviously, a few errors this evening. But we did go long a lot, but the ball wasn't sticking up front.
No, and it kept coming, kept coming back. You know, every time that we did have a bit of a break forward, the ball bounced the goon away. Do you know what I mean? Every single time. You know, there was times where they got to toe it, or it was just everything went their way. And sometimes you get that. We couldn't lay a glove on them in that first half at all. And, you know, Kinski, to be fair, look, you say a couple of errors, yes, but none of them errors shook him. I felt he was still up for the job. I don't think he lost his head at all. I think he was strong and aggressive. Look at the way that he claimed crosses from some of them corners and them free kicks. He was big, brave, and aggressive. And he looked bigger than his stats suggest. You know what I mean? Like taller. He looked more imposing. He looked a very strong addition. And yes, like we say, there were some things going on there. But you look at some of those passes that he was pulling out, and he was trying to make things happen. But every time he did go long or something like that, exactly what he said there, Craig, the Gooners always had 2 men over to retrieve that ball and then continue their press. We couldn't get out of it. They were better than us, and I don't like saying it, but they were better than us at what their game plan was and achieving the goals of that game plan at this precise time.
At the start of the game, Wes, let's come to you. Let's talk about Anthony Kinski because in the 9th minute, Arsenal free kick, Kinski dealt with it well. In the 11th minute, Rice took a corner. He punched it away. On 14 minutes, Arsenal crossing in from the left, Radu Dragushin then cleared. And then just a couple of moments later, Arsenal put in another cross from the right-hand side, Kinski out to collect. What have you made of Tony Kinski so far in a Spurs shirt? Of course, 3 games, 2 clean sheets. Of course, today's game, I know Craig has said about a couple of small errors in the game today, which we'll talk about shortly. But what have you made of him overall in a Spurs shirt?
I think he's pretty much put his name in the basket to compete for the number 1 spot with Vicario. And the crazy thing is that he's done that in such a short time. But I think is really because he brings something different. He's more of a on the ball passing type of goalkeeper. You know, one of the more modern day type of goalkeepers you'll see today that you see across from other teams. And I like that when he was dealing with those situations, he was real calm about it. Even when he made the mistake and he almost let them go on a goal and it was almost an empty goal, he still was very calm. He still kept playing his same game. He didn't falter and just, you know, completely, like almost similar to what happened with Forster. When that happened to him, you can tell his confidence kind of went more and more down. So when he ever got the ball to his feet, it was even worse because he knew that, oh man, I've been horrible when the ball comes to his feet. And you saw that. I think with Kinski is a little bit different. He doesn't care. He's going to keep playing his game because he knows he can do it. And sometimes you need players who just have that mentality where they believe in their ability. They know they trained on this. They know they can do it in a high level situation. And I think he's one of those players, and it shows. And I think even his passing, when he did go for the passes to go straight to the striker or to one of the forwards, it's very good balls. If you really look at how his technique is, it's very straight, spinning, a loft type of like weight to it. Something that's very much a player with the good eyes can probably control, and you can go on a run that way. So I think when we have, you know, probably a better situation when it comes to our back line, I think we can start using that to our advantage with Romero or Van de Ven. I think they love having a goalkeeper that can really go with the ball like that and be and add to the field of play for us to go on the attack. So, you know, I'm very high on Kinski right now. I don't see no reason for him to leave his position. I know Vicario, you saw once he started seeing that everybody was going after Kinski, you saw he got right onto the list of training at Hotspur Way immediately. So, you know, he's even knowing like, okay, this guy's a little different, and he may need to come back as well just to you know, fight for his spot back, I'm sure. So that's good competition right now we have with the goalkeepers. Even when it comes to some of our goalkeepers we got on loan, not to add more to it, but we have a lot of talented goalkeepers at the moment at Spurs. I almost don't know what we're going to do with all of them.
Craig, let's come to you. On 15 minutes, Arsenal put another cross in from the right-hand side, this time cleared by the Tottenham Hotspur defence. A minute later, Bergvall made a tackle. Referee had a word with him. A minute later, free kick for Arsenal. Kinski punched away. And then a couple of seconds later, Kinski received a back pass. Took too long on the ball, in my opinion. Was very, very nearly closed down. Arsenal very nearly scored. Is Tony Kinski spending too long on the ball, in your opinion?
I think he was tonight. I haven't really seen too much evidence of it in the past two games. I just think tonight it was just a little bit slow. He was shut down quicker than perhaps he was in the previous two games, and he got away with one tonight without a doubt. That one where Havertz shut him down, that was very lucky. But as Wes said, like his confidence didn't dip. He just carried on doing what he's doing, even that little back heel in the second half, heart in mouth moment, but he just carried on doing what he's good at. So if that had been Fraser Forster, I think we probably would have conceded. I mean, you get Fraser Forster vibes with some of those moments tonight, but he was going long as well. He was looking for that long pass. So it wasn't just constantly stubbornly playing out from the back all the time, but he did hold on to the ball a bit too long on occasion this evening.
Craig, on 19 minutes, Arsenal had a corner, another fist out from Kinski. What have you made of him? Because he seems very, very confident in coming out, punching the ball.
Yeah, and teams are not bullying him at set pieces either, like they do Vicario. That's what's good to see. I don't know how tall he is. He looks like quite a tall lad, 6'1", 6'2", perhaps even taller. So, yeah, big domineering keeper is what you like to see. And he's very good at crosses, punching the ball away, like you say. I just think he's going to challenge Vicario, not just to be a backup to him. It's quite clear they're going to have a bit of competition, which is great for a goalkeeper. It is, and goalkeepers should not be any different to outfield players. I think goalies should have a bit of healthy competition, and yeah, he's going to push him all the way. I think he's all right. Tonight wasn't brilliant, but he's conceded the first goals of his Tottenham career. But he's got all the makings of a really good keeper.
Craig, let's stay with you because on 22 minutes, Gabriel made a fantastic tackle to deny Dominic Solanke from putting Spurs 1-0 up. This was our first real chance of the game.
Yeah, what I have to say is a great run by Jed Spence and cross with the outside of his right foot to set that up. But that I mean, what a tackle that is. That was just a tap in. I bet Solanke's eyes was lighting up, but I don't know how he got a foot on that. It was just an amazing tackle. Have to give credit there. And both the Arsenal centre backs. Unfortunately, we was up against two defenders that played extremely well this evening. But that tackle was brilliant. I was going to say something about the commentators actually tonight. I just think I know people think the world's against Tottenham, but it really gets on your nerves. And Ali McCoy, I think he's one of the best ones. It really got on my nerves tonight. The pair of the commentators not giving Spurs hardly any credit. It's like, and Rio Ferdinand as well. It was almost like just biased towards Arsenal, I think. And not that affects the game, but it does really piss me off sometimes when you hear that. And it always, I know a lot of clubs will think, oh, it's always against us, but I think it's fair to say that we get a fair share of stick.
I always say this when I do the Spurs and the media videos and go through the newspapers, particularly when Spurs have won a game. It's all about the other team losing, rather than Spurs actually winning. I say that a lot. I'm very with you on that point. Craig, I'm glad that you brought up Jed Spence because I feel like even on this podcast, we don't speak about Jed Spence enough, particularly this season, because when we've all spoken about, particularly Ricky, you and I, about players taking the opportunities, fringe players, development players, whatever you want to call them, Jed Spence, every single time he's had an opportunity under Postecoglou, from the very first game of the summer in pre-season at Hearts, grabbing the opportunity, and he's still grabbing the opportunities. Craig.
Is that up to me? Sorry. I thought you were talking to Rick. Absolutely. I'm a massive fan of Jed Spence. Always have been. And I want to see him, in my mind, I think he should be pushing Porro right back. I know he's in a funny situation at the moment with defenders being out and the doggies being out and Davies being out. But I want to see him because Porro today, I don't think his crossing was great. I don't think he had his best game. I think Spence would be even better in his natural position. I do. And again, it comes down to this, left back, right back thing. Just because you're a good right back, you can play left back. Gary Neville said for years, where his brother Phil, think what you like of Phil Neville, but Phil could play left back and right back. Gary Neville said he could never do it. Jed Spence is one of those that can do a job at left back, but I think really he deserves a chance at right back. He, even in that first game, the one at Southampton, I think he started. I think that was his first start, wasn't it? Within a minute, he'd set up James Maddison for that first goal. So, outstanding player, really hard done by Conte and Ange, in my opinion, especially in that first season. And it was that Hearts game for me that changed everything for him. He played exceptionally well, and he was given his chance. And like you say, he took it every time he's played. He's put a shift in. He's looked like one of the best players on the pitch for us.
It's fair to say in the opening 20 minutes there was some real dominance from Arsenal, and as we mentioned there, that first chance of Spurs in the 22nd minute, we did have another chance. Kulusevski was denied shortly after that Solanke chance. Ricky, what did you make of Kulusevski this evening?
I think it was a tough game for Kulusevski. It was tough for him to get into the game, in that first half. The Gooners basically kept the ball away from the guys up front. When he reverted back into midfield, he got more into the game. And, let's have it right. Kulusevski's been our best player this year. We know he's a workhorse as well. He loves to continue to run and to make things happen. But it was a tough game. Like Craig was saying about their defenders, they've got both of their first team defenders and their number one goalkeeper. You know, they had a young guy at left back that had a really good game. I felt he's probably going to be another star for the Gooners in the future to come. And so, like, whenever we did get a break, it doesn't matter who it was, it was tough to break them down. There was times where we stopped running, you know, especially in that second half when we was getting on the ball. But there was times where we were just static and we couldn't get our pace. We couldn't get any rhythm going. We couldn't get, you know, those overlaps going. And at times when we did, we got in behind and we created some opportunities in that second half. But it was tough for Kulu. But with Kulu, I always believe something can happen with him. And, you know, again, there was many opportunities he had on the edge of the box where they do the little 1-2 and he tries a little trick to get through. And he was a whisker away many a time. But you got to give it up to their defenders that done a job tonight.
Ricky, in the 23rd minute, we lost the ball in the centre of the park. I think it was Basuma. And in the 31st minute, Son actually pulled Basuma to one side and had a real word with him. And I tell you what, a lot of people, particularly the comments on here in the last couple of months, always question Heung-min Son's leadership. I saw a lot of leadership from Sonny tonight on the pitch. So he might not have had his greatest game at the Emirates. Of course, we'll come on to his goal now. But that leadership is definitely there. I tell you what, when you're inside the stadium, you do notice a lot more than you do sitting at home watching it on the TV, because of course they don't show these things. But the way that he pulled Basuma to one side and had a real, I wouldn't say he had a go at him, but he was telling him exactly what he thought and exactly what he expected of him. And I thought that was a great moment. Ricky, let's stay with you for a second, because we're going to talk about the opening goal of the game. Of course, it came from Heung-min Son in the 25th minute. Do you want to talk us through the goal?
Well, it started off. What was it, a free kick or a corner? I'm sure it was a corner, yeah. And the ball ended up breaking out, and I think it was Porro that whipped in across, and it ended up lifting up into the air. And as it came down, Sonny just watched it on the edge of the box and struck it great. Like, had a really good strike with the side of his foot. There was a slight deflection in there as well. But it was a goal against the runner play at that point. But boy, did we need it, you know. Boy, did we need it. We needed some type of kind of relief at that point and some type of, you know, joy at that point to kind of spur us on, to use the pun. And, you know, it was a great goal by Sonny. Another kind of captain's goal when we needed it, you know, in a very, very tough game.
Where's this come to you? In the 27th minute, Sarr was booked through kicking the ball away. On 31 minutes, Sonny again was given instructions to Basuma, as I said. A minute later, Arsenal had a cross from the right. Dragushin cleared. What do you make of Radu Dragushin, and what do you make of us defensively overall today?
I say we're a little bit on very much pressured this game, especially, but that's kind of to be expected when we're going against a side like that. And it looked, you know, we didn't have it looked like we didn't have our first choice defenders out there. It looked like that in times. That's just what it's going to be. And I think a lot of fans don't, for some reason, haven't got that around their heads, that we just don't have our back line that we have. We have a guy playing left back that's actually a right back, and that does affect how they play or how they tend or how they've been trained to play and how they're used to playing. You see Spence, he's very used to using a very agile type of way of how he moves, and it's a little different when he's on the left. On the right, he's able to wiggle through and do a little bit more with his dribbling. On the left, he's not. For the center backs, it's you know, it's just the thing that Archie Gray is not really the main, you know, guy to be a like the left center back for like a whole season like this, but he is because of the injuries. And, you know, that kind of affects how we have to defend. It makes us a little bit more nervy on our possession. And I just feel like if even I know some people are saying we should play Dorrington, but it's clear as day. I see that in the comment section, but it's clear that Ange does not see him ready enough to play that kind of minutes just yet. And that's for a reason.
He's got on loan. That's probably why we can't play him.
Yeah,
but I do agree.
But a lot of people feel like previously when he was here, and he was on the team,
he wasn't ready. He wasn't ready.
He was not ready.
No way.
I see people putting that in the chat, but he wasn't ready, and nothing we can do about that now. So it's just that's one of the things we're dealing with as a club right now with the injuries. We keep on talking about how Arsenal's center backs were playing great. That was their first choice center backs. So they should be playing great. They're number 2 in the league, and they're going against us, who we have one who's our second choice center back. We got one who's pretty much just filling in at center back, and it just shows.
On 35 minutes, Declan Rice had a corner, Kinski away again. A couple of minutes later, Sterling wanted to go past Jed Spence. But I tell you what, he showed real strength. And I love the fact that Jed Spence, basically shouldered him out of the way. And I love that strength. I love seeing that, particularly in a North London derby. But, I know we've spoken about the growth in Jed Spence and taking the opportunity. I love to see that. And I completely agree with what you guys have already said about, him being a mainstay in the team, because I feel like he wants, to be in that starting 11 week in, week out, which is great to see, particularly after what we've seen in his early career at Tottenham. A minute later, Radu Dragushin punch in the air to Kinski, saying, "Come on." And I love that moment as well. That is exactly what you want to see in a North London derby. Craig, let's come to you. On this point here, on 39 minutes, not a corner. Not a corner. Of course, they score from this corner. Declan Rice ran over to where the away end was, right in front of me. The away fans were shouting abuse at him about his partner, and he puts in a corner. Gabriel header goes off Solanke. But what did you make of this decision about it wasn't a corner? Because the referee, and you could lip read the referee, he was basically saying, no, it bounced off and it went out. It is a corner. That is exactly what he said. Yeah,
they were saying on the telly actually that the ball possibly was out before it hit the Arsenal player. Was that Rice? Was it? I can't actually see which Arsenal player it was. Regardless, it doesn't matter who it was. They said, perhaps the ball was out. I don't think it was. I think it was just an officiating error. I'd have to say it was obviously a bad mistake, because it led to a goal. And it is funny what VAR can and can't get involved in.
Yeah.
Because obviously that error led directly to a goal. So you could argue that VAR should have called it back and said, no, we've looked at it. Excuse me, should have been a goal kick. But how far do you take VAR? That's the thing. This sort of thing happens all the time. And obviously, if we hadn't conceded from it, we would have forgot about it. It just so happens we conceded from it. So, yeah, it was a bad decision, but it goes on all the time in football, and you just have to suck it up, I'm afraid. But as for the defending, Gabriel is obviously their main asset from corners, and Arsenal's set pieces, corners, deliveries are phenomenal, you have to say. And it pains me to say that, but they are very good. And you could see there was a free kick just before this where they'd clearly worked on something on the training ground, where there was 4 players standing in offside position. They took a few steps forward and then all came in. And if the ball was better, God knows what would happen. But obviously it's something they work on, and they get a majority, well, not majority, but a lot of their goals from set pieces. And we suffered today.
I know Ange Postecoglou will hate this question. I'm going to ask you, Craig. Should we have done better defending set pieces today?
Well, they scored from a corner, so you could say we didn't defend that one too well. But on the whole, I don't think we've been terrible. We didn't concede tons and tons of goals from set pieces today, did we? The second goal was obviously something completely different. So that's the way you have to view it. Did we concede 4 or 5 goals from set pieces today? No, we didn't. We conceded 1. So we've got better at it. That's all I'll say. But I think it amazes me the size of Dragushin. I just think he should be a bit more domineering in the air. Archie Gray cleared a lot of headers today, and he's not a centre back.
I feel like this is a bit of a role play. Like, I'm the journalist, just asked you that question. You've given me a really prickly answer, like Ange does to the journalists about set pieces.
Well, it's the facts, isn't it? We conceded 1 goal from a set piece today. We haven't conceded tons of goals from a set piece, and I think we've got better at them on the whole, and that helps that you've got a goalkeeper that's not scared of crosses. So
Okay,
yeah.
Craig, let's stay with you because let's talk about Arsenal's second goal, Trossard. Talk us through this, and right at the end, of course, when Trossard scores, I felt that Kinski should have done better. He got a hand to it, and it went through the hand. Do you agree? Do you think he should have done better there?
Well, first of all, Bissouma should have done better in the midfield. He turned into trouble. There was no way he was getting away from 2 Arsenal players. He went the wrong way, turned the wrong way, lost the ball. Arsenal on the attack, 2 or 3 players. As you wind it on there, you can see Trossard, acres of space, Dragushin just jogging over, not getting tight enough, not getting close enough to him, lets him get a shot away. And as you say, a good low shot across Kinski. It did bobble over his hand, but he will be disappointed that he didn't do better with that because, like you say, got a hand to it. Should have pushed it wide, but didn't. So it is for me. It's a multitude of things. Bissouma losing the ball, Dragushin not getting to Trossard quick enough, and Kinski not doing well enough with the shot. So, yes, it was a goalkeeping error, one that he'll look back on and think he should have done better and knows he should have done better. But the team as a whole didn't defend that particularly well.
Ricky, can I come to you on this as well? Because the picture on screen now, it doesn't look like we're in a lot of danger at this point. You know, you've got 4 defenders back there. You've got Trossard on the left-hand side. You know, conceding a goal, particularly the winning goal in a North London derby here, this is very disappointing. And exactly what Craig said, Bissouma losing the ball. Of course, we'll come on to talk about the subs. Of course, he went off a couple of minutes after at half-time. What did you make of Bissouma's performance, and what did you make of this second goal that Arsenal scored?
I mean, on the goal, firstly, if you look at everybody's body shape right now, you can see that even though the bodies, if you squint your eyes, it looks like we're okay. But if you look at everybody's body shape right now, like you can see that everybody's in different positions right now in how much space Trossard actually has to run in, and he uses his pace and his trickery and strikes a good ball. And you know what I think? And I know you guys are saying you think Kinski should have got there as well. There was a little bobble. Yeah, and I know it's an excuse or whatever, but I did see the ball was struck so well that it hit a bobble in the grass, and that's what kind of made it go over Kinski's hand when he went for the save. That's what I saw. Should we be doing better? Yeah, of course, always. We don't like risk conceding goals at all. But it was a good strike. You know, it was a good clean strike. What can you say? You got to give him credit for a good clean strike. The one sad thing about, or upsetting thing for us, is that it wasn't closed down enough. That Bissouma did give away that ball, and with Bissouma, there's been many a time where I look at him and I think, and I'm with every kind of fan that's disappointed with Bissouma. You know, I was excited when we bought him. He was my favorite buy the summer that we bought him. I was like, this is the guy that's going to come in and change this midfield for us. And we've seen it in glimpses. And, you know, this year that he's had personally, you know, he's had a lot that's gone on this year. And even he's come out and said that he owes us. Do you know what I mean? He owes us the real Bissouma. How many times we have heard him come out and say, you know, I apologize, but I need to show you the real Bissouma and stuff like that. And we see it in flashes, and he can be fantastic in screening the back line and breaking forward as well, being that ball playing midfielder. He does have trickery. He does have turn of pace. He can get out of trouble. But there's just so many times he puts us in trouble at vital times when, like we've said on this tonight, that you want your seniors to stand up. And that's why Sonny had a word. And I'm really happy with that type of leadership that, you know, Sonny would have said it in his way, but I don't think he would have, you know, told him any lies. I think he would have told him the truth, the same way that you saw it, Chris, you know? So, and then a couple of minutes later, he gets taken off by the manager, and an 18-year-old plays at a 6, you know? So it says a lot. But I like that the fact that even though we're in this position, that we're not trying to just stay with the seniors, that we are going to go, all right, and cool, let's mix it up. Okay, if you can't do it, we're going to try something else. And straight away at half time, the manager tried something else.
I'm going to go there now. At half time, Heung-min Son and Jed Spence went over to the referee and the other match officials, and they were clearly saying they were unhappy. Wes, let's come to you on this. What did you make of the match officials today?
Yeah, that I didn't like how they refereed that first half. It seemed like Sonny, especially when he was trying to hold up the ball, it was clear that they fouled him and pretty much pushed him or throw him down, and we weren't getting those calls at all. And then next, Arsenal going to break. It seemed like a lot of it was going more Arsenal's way, which for most could be seen as very much unfair, which is I would agree. So I agree with, that they needed some type of talking to of some form. I know you can't really do too much, or, they'll try to, throw something at you or something. But I don't think they refereed that first half very good. I think a lot of it was going to Arsenal's way a little bit too much. He would call, some of it is just blame. They threw one of our players down, and then he would just say, get up, type of thing. And I don't like that for referees. You got to look at everything and just officiate the game as middle as you can, and make sure the rules of the games the rules of the game is staying sound, and that nobody's getting the advantage over anybody. He knows how big of a game this is. I'm sure they're not they should not be used to North London Derby or something of this magnitude. So you want this game to be as fair as possible, because a lot of media and everybody's looking at this. These are one of the biggest games of the year, even for English football. This is one of the biggest rivalries in the world. You want it to be refereed fairly for all the middle people looking at the game and everything. And to me, I think the first half was, yeah.
Whereas, of course, at half-time, we were 2-1 down. Johnson and Maddison came off. Sarr and Basuma. Johnson and Maddison came on, and Basuma and Sarr went off. What did you make of Ange Postecoglou's double change at half-time?
It was needed. It was needed, especially for Basuma. I think putting Bergvall at the 6 was right there. I think that's one of his natural positions anyway. And you could tell that he was really showing some stuff here and there in that second half. Once he started going, and I think Basuma, I think he saw what we saw. He wasn't really in it, so he made a change, and maybe him adding in Matters was going to bring in some more playmaking ability, which he's used. That's what he's been using Maddison as. It's like the second half, because of so much game time, maybe him having more of the energy and going against opposition who played all first half, and then plus his creative thinking would lead us to having more chances. It didn't necessarily work out. I think Maddison played just, the same kind of up and down it's been for Maddison this whole season. But I agree with the changes. The changes made sense. And Son, there's so many things. I don't want to be digging in on Son. I know everybody's saying, he's played a whole lot of games. But to me, I think Son is just doesn't have what he used to have clearly. And that happens once you hit those 30s. That happens to a lot of players in several sports, not just football. But I think I think we're getting closer to that time where we need to start really looking at what wingers are we going to bring in. That's going to be first team starting 11 wingers. And because I don't know how long Son got. I know he just added another year to his contract, but he was great that he got that goal. We needed that goal in the first half. But I think after that, I didn't see too much from Son. So bringing in Richarlison was good, because, we needed to see him play a game after he done had 2 weeks of training. So it was good to see Richarlison. I think he actually added some stuff too. Richarlison, yeah. I think what happened? Oh, yeah. Okay. I think Richarlison was really adding some stuff to the game. And he made one good pass that almost led to a chance for us to score. And we could have leveled up the game with that. So I think that was a good little play for Richarlison to get his first couple minutes back from injury.
It is 1 a.m. here in the UK, and we're still recording this podcast. Craig looks like he's going to sleep, and I've still got to get home. So we are going to get through the second half very, very quickly. On 50 minutes, Son to Maddison, who crossed. David Breyer collected. On 53 minutes, Arsenal corner, headed just wide. On 57 minutes, Arsenal cross from the right, headed towards goal. Kinski was there, comfortable save. On 57 minutes, also Johnson shot at the goalkeeper. And then on 59 minutes, Arsenal pressure, 2 crosses cleared. A huge roar from the fans at that point. On 64 minutes, another Arsenal cross cleared. Another big roar from the home fans. On 72 minutes, good move from Spurs. A number of passes resulting in a ball out wide to Johnson, who crossed, but no one there. Do you know what? It reminded me of a really good cross that Brennan Johnson put in at Newcastle, and he did his job. And a number of the Spurs fans actually in the away end were saying that it was a rubbish cross. But I'll tell you what, he did his job, in my opinion. No one was in that key area. Craig, what did you make of the change with Brennan Johnson coming on? Do you think he had an impact?
Well, I agree with Wes. The changes were desperately needed at that point.
Yeah.
Brennan Johnson's a funny one for me. He never seems to do enough work for me, yet he's had so many goal involvements and scored goals, set up goals. He's our top scorer this season. So he's a bit of an enigma, really. I just think he could do more, and with his pace, I just want to see him go at the left back, and because he could skin most people in this league. But as you say, he did I know the exact cross you're talking about. He did do his job, and that's the job of the centre forward or the left winger. I don't know if Richarlison was on by this point or if it was still Son on the pitch, but that's the sort of areas they need to be getting into. So if you're a winger and you're doing your job and putting the crosses in and somebody's not on the end of it, then that will probably, Angel will probably see that and be blaming the centre forward, the people receiving the ball. So, but Brennan Johnson, he's obviously not been in the team started the last few games, but he always seems to do something, whether it be score or set up or create chances. So he's a bit of a funny player for me. I still think there's a player in there. He's proved that. He scored goals. I don't know how many assists he's got this season, but we know he's got a few assists. But I would like to see somebody else come in, and whether that be Odegaard, whether it be Mikey Moore or something. And these are the options that we just haven't had for so many months to really push other players, like the goalkeeper situation we've been saying about. We need these players to be pushed, because, like I say, Kulusevski, for me, he's better in that 10 role. We've seen that he did a job today, but clear to see he's been overplayed because we haven't got any options.
Craig, on 73 minutes, Dominic Solanke had a shot which was blocked. Brennan Johnson was actually in a much better position, but Solanke didn't find him, which was frustrating at that point. Arsenal then went up the other end, very nearly scored. On 78 minutes, Ange Postecoglou made another change. Richarlison coming on, as you've mentioned, Heung-min Son going off. On 85 minutes, Arsenal with another chance. Odegaard shooting wide. What a chance for them. That could have been, another goal for the home side. On 88 minutes, Arsenal corner cleared straight up the other end. I tell you what, Arsenal, I don't want to sit here and say how great Arsenal were, but the transition, how quick they can switch defence to attack, very, very good. I tell you what, if they had a decent centre forward, in their transfer window, I think that would be a very, very good side. In stoppage time, Brennan Johnson had another shot. I think it actually hit the post in the end. And Dominic Solanke also tried an overhead kick. That was of great delight to the home fans. What did you make of Richarlison, Craig? Because it's nice having him back.
It was. I think it was Pedro Porro hit the post, actually. Okay. Unless that was a different one you're talking about. And but Porro...
I'm tired as well, Craig.
I think but they've said on the telly they think Porro actually meant that. I'm not sure. I think it was a bit of a miss hit, but anyway, you can go in either way. Richarlison, look, I still don't think Richarlison's the answer, but it was nice to have another option. It was. He obviously came on the left for Son. As we know, he can play through the middle as well. but it was good to have another attacking option back. And he did bring a little bit of that shithousery that we've been missing when the young Arsenal lad was trying to walk off back to where the box, dugouts are. He ran over to him and pushed him off the pitch, leading to a yellow card for him. But there was just a couple of moments where I thought, yep, Richarlison's back. My son said to me, you can tell Richarlison's back because of the housery that was going on. So I think that's what we miss from a lot of our players, the dark arts, as we all know, as people have spoken about. So it was good to see him back for that aspect, because it just gives us a bit something different.
Right, so finally, Spurs travel away to Everton on Sunday, Goodison Park. Of course, David Moyes has just taken over there for a second spell. He lost his first game in charge back at Goodison this evening, a 1-0 home defeat against Aston Villa. Now, Everton are currently 16th in the table, 17 points from 20 matches. They are just 1 point above the relegation zone. Ricky, no easy game in the Premier League, as I mentioned earlier. How do you see this one going? What changes do you think Ange will make for this one?
You know what? The Everton game is another must-win game, isn't it? It's another must-win game because of their position, because of their trials and tribulations. And, even though they've got David Moyes, who's just come in, and they're going to have a new manager bounce, while they're still faltering, we need to take advantage of that too. Now, the difference between us and them is that we do have a direction. We do have fight in us. And, even though we've come up against massive adversity this season, we continue to keep fighting, keep moving forward. Now, we haven't got some of the rewards for some of those efforts. And sometimes we've been outclassed. Sometimes, the opposition have been better. But we have to go there and show up and really dominate and really take it to them. Not just for us, not just for the league, but for those players right there. They need to get a win under their belt in the league, and they need to start building some momentum. And, I foresee when it comes down to changes or anything like that, I foresee Richarlison getting the winner in that game. I just see him going back, against Everton and it being his comeback game, and, him making a difference and putting a goal in the back of the net and kind of having that moment for himself. It looked like he was determined to make something happen tonight. So I'm really hoping and praying that, one, he stays fit and he's not been injured after tonight's 10, 12 minutes. And that's seriously, because you just don't know, how it is with Richarlison. And two, that he kind of makes it to Sunday. And when he does come on, if he comes on or if he starts, he has the impact that we need him to have. These players coming back, there's going to be pressure on them as well. There's not going to be much time for them to kind of bed themselves in or get up to match fitness, even though they're going to need to. They're going to have to hit the ground running, and we're going to have to be smart with how the minutes are managed and how we bring them in and how we work them into the side and not kind of rush and panic to kind of start them and risk aggravating another setback or another injury for another player.
Ricky, score prediction for this one?
I'm going to go 3-0 Tottenham.
Wow. Wes, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking, this is a must win. They're sitting 16th. We're sitting 12th or 13th. We need to win against these kind of teams. And we got these teams who are faltering right now on the bottom end, especially under us. We need to win it. So I want at least 2-0 or something against them. And that's just, that's just what it needs to be. I would hope that we make some substitutions with our starting lineup. Maybe push Richarlison in as starting, and then if he doesn't do the job, then put Solanke out there. I also want some type of change with the wingers, play more. I don't know, do something a little different with that front three, just to do something different with it. And of course, the midfield. If you start Bergvall again, I wouldn't mind it. Put him at the 6. Maybe start Madison. I don't know. It's according to probably how just Ange feels with the tactics of who we're going against in that game. But I want a little bit of changes, just to add some newness, some freshness, especially with a Richarlison. Just he's going to be up to play against his old club anyway. And then I know he's going to be warring to really get back into it and start scoring goals again and get back into form. So I think use that to your advantage. Of course, you don't want him to get hurt again, but I want to win. We need a win in that league. In the league, we need to get some 3 points. I'm thinking close to what Ricky's thinking, 2 or 3 mil for Spurs.
Of course, it is the last time that Spurs will travel to Goodison Park before moving to their new stadium next season. But the interesting thing will be, will Spurs play Everton next season? Will they go down this season? Craig, what have you made of Everton this season? And how do you think this game's going to go?
We might, of course, be playing Everton in the Championship next season. You never know.
Oh,
Just a joke. Just a joke before everybody says anything. We're not getting relegated, by the way. I think we're actually going to win 2-0. I think we'll have too much for them. I think Wes is right. I think there'll be changes. I'd like to see. Although I've said Maddison's not performing, I think this would be a good game for him to come back in for. I'd like to see Richarlison get a start, give Solanke a rest in the number 9 role. Possibly even start Mikey Moore over Son and give Sonny a rest, but have Sonny on the bench to bring on. Whether you bring in Johnson to replace Kulusevski, that might be too many changes. There's not many other changes you can make. Bentancur, I don't think is going to be back. I think he's still going to be the concussion protocol. So, and let's face it, as I've said before, there's not going to be many changes at the back unless somebody's coming back from injury we don't know about, like perhaps Ben Davies or Romero or Van der Ven. So perhaps 3 or 4 changes from Arsenal, the ones I've mentioned. Hopefully Angie's now getting players back in those forward positions where we can rotate a little bit. Like I say, Mikey Moore would be great for him to come back. Richarlison, possibly Brennan Johnson, and possibly Maddison.
I'm going to go for a 2-1 Spurs win at Goodison. Like all of you have already said, it's a must win. We've got to go there. We've got to get the job done because it is, I know it's important, all the time, but I feel like at this stage when we've won 1 Premier League game in 9, Spurs really need to, start putting some points on the board and climbing up that Premier League table because the viewing of the table isn't good at the moment. Craig, Stu writes here, enjoyed your big energy today. I tell you what, you and Ricky in particular on this channel are such troopers. You're always with me and you're always giving your absolute all. And your passion for Tottenham, on this channel is second to none. And, we are now recording at 1:18 a.m. and you two are still here. And, of course, Wes is on the channel for the very first time. So, Wes, I hope you've enjoyed it today. Wes, where can people find you on social media? What are you up to at the moment? And hopefully we'll see you on another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast soon.
Yeah. First of all, thank you, Chris, and thank you guys for having me on for the first time. Been wanting to get on something like this for a while. I've been watching for a long time. You can find me at Wes the King on either X or Instagram. I'm on either or. And then if you want to, you can follow my YouTube channel. I have not posted in a long time. I haven't been too much focused on YouTube. Been in studies and university at the moment. And right now I'm just going after my journalist degree, and I do radio and I do commentary for basketball for our school here. So that's all the stuff I've been going at it at the moment.
Well, the next dodgy result for Spurs, Wes, you can host the Spurs Chat podcast, no problem.
Okay.
I love the name, by the way, Wes the King. And of course, We've got Ricky Champagne Norwood. Ricky, great to have you back. Of course, you and I are going out to Germany next week to go and see the Hoffenheim game. Really looking forward to that, having a beer with you. And Craig,
I don't drink. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Huh?
I say
I don't
Craig,
drink. I don't know what you're talking about.
Craig's going to be hosting next week's podcast when I'm going to be taking you for a beer.
Oh, mate, listen, I'm looking forward to it, mate. I'm looking forward to it. And you know what? To all the Spurs fans around the world, and Wes, it's been great to have you on, man. It's great to have a different voice, a different opinion, a different viewpoint from across the pond. And thank you, for sharing, your insights and your wisdom tonight. It's been great to have another voice, and I really enjoyed it. So all those fans, when Chris puts out the email and stuff, get involved, get in touch. Let's have you guys on, and let's have your opinions and your viewpoints on from around the world. I'm really looking forward to Germany, bro. I'm It's going to be my first away game, so I can't wait for it, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun. I'm sure we'll have a lot of fun. It's probably a wise thing that we've got the night off that night. So good luck, Craig. But let's see if we might FaceTime you.
Oh yeah, that'd be good.
Just to make sure he's still awake. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ricky, thank you so much. Where can people find you on social media, Ricky?
You guys know where you can find me. On X, you can find me at Ricky J Norwood. On Instagram, you can find me at official Ricky Norwood. But yes, sending big love out to all of you guys. Again, tough result, tough game, but we will get through it together. We will get through it together. Just think about Archie Gray in the number 6 when we've got all our defenders. Oh, how exciting could that be? Bergvar coming off the bench to change the game. Look, better times are coming. Stick with it, and love to all of you guys that have stayed up with me as well tonight. It's been a pleasure as always.
Ricky, thank you so much. I can't believe we've got almost 2,500 people with us still at nearly 1:30 a.m. So, Craig, get some sleep. Thank you so much for all of your incredible input on this channel, not only tonight, but always. These last couple of years, your input has been absolutely fantastic. So thank you. And get some sleep.
I will certainly try. Yeah. Apologies. I am absolutely shattered today. Had a long day. So, and I'm sure I would have been a bit more perkier had Spurs been able to pull off the result we all wanted at the Emirates, but sadly not. Wes, absolute pleasure to have you on. I said to Chris when I met you on the first fan show, I said to him, as soon as you know, I said, we've got to have Wes back on. He was brilliant. Absolutely. You know your stuff. Really love all your insight, and it is great to have somebody so young that's done the research on the club, knows a bit of the history, and as I said to you at the time, you're gonna, if your love for journalism and your chosen career path is as much for Tottenham, you're going to do very well in life. So absolute pleasure to meet you and have you on, Wes. And Rick, I love you. So good to be on with you. Apologies to everyone if I've been a bit miserable tonight, but we lost. I'm knackered. I'm going to bed. I'll see you next time. I think I'm on against Everton, and let's hope for a better result at the last game at Goodison Park before they move to Bramley Moordock.
Yeah, the good news is the Everton kickoff is an earlier one, so Craig should be a little bit more perky.
I'll be awake. I'll be perky for that. But obviously, we have dinner to consider as well, Chris. So I've got to be done in an hour and a half, not 2.5 hours. All right.
I used to say the trophies are coming, but with Craig, it's now the takeaways are coming. So yeah.
Oh no! I think it's got to be a roast Sunday, but it might be a takeaway. You never know.
Craig, Ricky, Wes, thank you so much. And Wes, as the other guys have said, great debut on here. Look forward to having you on again very, very soon. Thank you so much. And thanks so much for watching, everyone. Thanks for listening. I hope you've enjoyed it, in some ways. And we'll be back, as Craig mentioned, for another edition of the Spurs Chat podcast on Sunday, after when hopefully Spurs have beaten Everton and got 3 points. Thank you so much. Come on, you Spurs.
Come.